Apart from duality, there is another problem of the three modes of nature, which are called sattva, rajas, and tamas. The mode of sattva denotes concepts, the mode of rajas denotes activities, and the mode of tamas denotes objects. Accordingly, there are three modes in language too. The words of language can represent concepts, activities, or objects, and we have to not just interpret the word, but we have to interpret it according to the mode of nature being used. For example, we all know that the same words can be used both as nouns and verbs. English words such as answer, attack, and address can be used both as nouns and verbs. Similarly, words such as president or bachelor can be used to indicate the general concept or the particular individual. The difference between the use of a word as noun and verb is that difference between the modes of sattva and rajas. And the difference between using a word to represent a common concept or a common noun and a particular individual constitutes the confusion between the mode of sattva and tamas. In ordinary language, we don't just use words, we also take into account the part of speech, such as noun, verb, adjective, etc. These parts of speech are the modalities in which the word can be used. But in mathematics, these modalities are missing. So we can use the same number to denote a concept, an activity, or an object. And we have no way of knowing which mode we are operating in. Basically, mathematics doesn't have the figures of speech. When the same number is used as a different figure of speech, a contradiction is created, or it can be created. For example, you can say that barbers shave those who do not shave themselves. Here the word barber can be used to denote a particular barber or the universal class of people called barbers. These are two modes in language, but in mathematics we don't have these modes. So if we ask, does the barber shave himself? According to the concept mode or the mode of sattva guna, the barber must shave himself. And according to the object mode or the mode of tamaguna, the barber must not shave himself. This creates a contradiction, but the reason is different. It's due to the three modes of nature rather than the duality, such as that between the head and tail of a coin. Duality is about the oppositions within a single mode. For example, the words question and answer can operate as opposites within the same mode. For example, nouns or verbs. Then there are three modes. So by the combination of three modes and the duality of oppositions, we create 6 different types of distinctions that we must make in mathematics. These distinctions are represented as the 6 directions of space in Vedic philosophy, namely left and right, before and after, up and down. The 3 modes of nature and the 3 dimensions of space. The 3 modes of nature are the 3 dimensions of space, and the oppositions are the 2 opposite sides on each dimension. So even to do logic and remain consistent, we have to use the idea of space. Now, if you're familiar with modern logic, it doesn't have the notion of a space. In fact, mathematicians claim that what is true logically is true in all places and times. But the fact is that due to duality and the 3 modes of nature, we cannot talk about this universal truth. We are now compelled to speak about the truth at a particular place and time. And the logic becomes contextual instead of universal. We have already seen how duality requires a hierarchy which comprises of a head, tail, and a coin. So the solution to the problem of duality requires 3 parts. And then when there are 3 modes of nature, both duality and 3 modes of nature require the notion of space integrated into the logic, which means that logic only speaks about local or contextual truth rather than the global or universal truth. If we try to obtain universal truth by removing duality and the three modes of nature as modern mathematics and logic do, then we end up in incompleteness and contradictions. So there is a general pattern in all of science, which is that all of science is either contradictory or incomplete. But this problem can be solved if we reconceive logic as dealing with local rather than universal truth. Once the contradictions of duality and the three modes of nature are solved, then science can be complete. But we have already done substantial revision to the modern ideas of logic and mathematics in the process of trying to overcome this incompleteness.